there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is Rising Star 2, and the band is Inches from Glory, and they are named after a real band in the Midwest. Just my little tribute to them. It's a band I kind of like. Real quick, I want to start with a Mea Culpa. So there have been a couple of comments that came out on the previous videos that said, hey, you're doing this wrong. And they were absolutely right. I was conflating two ideas, and I want to cover that really quickly just to make sure there's no long-term confusion on this. So the issue at hand had to do with merging song parts as well as your number of points that you gain in percentage of playability on a song every time you practice. Let's take a quick peek at what I'm talking about. When you go into develop ideas, you have this number here at the bottom, 41 points. And I had a couple of times said and a few other times implied, although I didn't really intend to do that, that the number is based on the average playing ability of all your folks. And I own that. I did. I said it a couple of times, and that is not right. This is actually a very simple calculation. This is the value of the production value of your best producer, which in this case is Topher, and he's at 41. And I knew that. I was thinking about when I was saying that, there's a calculation that happens that is the average playing ability of everyone, and I think it's just the average. It has to do with when you practice songs, how many points you gain per song or per practice session. So any individual song can only go up 35 points per day in practice, but that's only if you have at least that many points to go. If you split it among multiple songs, it divides it out, and we've already talked about that a little bit. But the number that I was conflating and confusing with the what is now 41 there for quality points in merging is how much these will go up in total when you practice, and depending on how many you practice. And that is related to your playing skill. And this is why we like playing skill to go up fast as well. We want production to go up fast so that we can merge more parts. We want playing skill to go up fast so that when we practice, we get a bigger boost to these songs. And that is kind of the difference. There is a third one in there, and I think this is what I was, in my head, was thinking through and trying to remember how it worked. But it has to do with the difficulty. If you have a superiorly difficult song, let's say we had one right now that was a 90, which we don't, thankfully, because we wouldn't be able to play it well. There is a cap on how well you can play it. This number will not necessarily go to 100. We will see that within the next month or two. We'll have a couple of songs that are starting to get to be higher quality, and all of a sudden our play skill will cap green, but it'll only be at like 92 or 86 or something like this. And that has to do with the difficulty of the song versus the playing skill of your band members. That's the one that is kind of, I've never nailed it down as to exactly what that formula is. And I think in my head, I was trying to remember how that worked while we were talking about merging points, and I totally confused the two. In general, on my playthroughs, I bump my producer up quickly so that he drives this number up, and I drive up the play skill of everybody so that we learn the songs faster. And so when not doing videos, it is a good correlation for me. This number should be close to what not close to, but it should be representative of the average playing skill. It's not the same number, but as the average playing skill is going up, his producing is going up because I tend to drive him up a little faster. He will get points in playing, but we're going to want his production to go up quickly. Everybody else, I'm focusing more on playing right now. And so it becomes a litmus for where we stand. And that's really what I think was going through my head. So I apologize for that. I don't want to confuse anybody. I did go back and edit the previous 4 videos. This should be episode 5. In the previous 4 videos, I went in and I edited out about 2 minutes and 38 seconds or so of airtime there. Rest assured, no band members were harmed, and you can see all the staircases. So let's go ahead and move forward with today's episode, where we are finally going to get to do a gig. Okay, and we're going to come in here and we're going to do the normal stuff. we still have, I said the grind is over. The part of the grind that is over is we don't have to come out here and busk every day for play points. We do still need money, and it's going to be important for a while to continue to do things like the odd jobs, the help wanted jobs. My preference is to mow the lawns. It is efficient. It's quick. I don't spend 4 minutes driving around and wrecking my van because I'm looking at the map while I'm trying to decide which way to turn, that kind of stuff. So I tend to just do that, and I will go home and we will merge up some song parts, and then we will practice. All right, so here is one of the things. So 41 points. So we can merge 20 times if we only do ones, and I'm going to do that. We have a ton of parts, and one of the things I'm learning, I started a playthrough that kind of matches this one. It's got 5 members. I've got different orchestration in that, but in general, what I'm seeing is that I can't keep up with the merging so far. I think my playthrough is like in August now, and I still have not caught to the point where everything is merged. That when I'm playing a 4-member band, that tends to happen relatively quickly, not like immediately or anything, but that 5th band member, it makes it hard. And I'm thinking I might need to take some specific steps to make sure that I'm getting the merging of the things that I really want. For instance, my songwriter is Kiwi, right? Maybe I focus on her first, getting her parts all merged up as best I can, and then focus on Angel with lyrics. And that might be a way to go. For now, I think I just want to reduce the total numbers so that I have some options in the near future. And the overall goal is that we get to the point where we have the parts that are going to make the songs that really make a difference in our career. So as well as being Rock Band Simulator, it's also an iChart simulator here, as those wiggly pieces are kind of hard to spot. And at one point, the spots didn't, the parts didn't wiggle. The pieces of the puzzle didn't wiggle when you needed to merge them. In fact, there was another question about some stuff, and the way songwriting was done prior to 2021, when he overhauled it, you didn't have like quality points to merge. You had to merge parts manually, but there was no wiggling to know that this part was ready to merge with that part. You kind of had to just eyeball it all. And that could be a headache. Parts would also go away over time. You only held on to them for, depending on if you had used them before and then salvaged them, they had a variable timer on how many days they'd hang around before they'd disappear. And I'm really glad he removed some of those mechanics. But all of that to say that songwriting has changed a lot in this game over the years from the early versions of it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and practice. And again, this is the part that's based on the average of your members, and maybe we'll take a minute and calculate that out at some point soon. I'm kind of over it myself at this point. We're just going to move on. We only have 2 days, and we're only getting about 30 points total. So even if we dumped them all into one song, we'd barely get it to 100, and that's just not a sustainable methodology for how we want to do this. So we're just going to practice 2 songs today. They should go up 15, so they should get to 58, and to 81. We saw that. We'll leave the 81 alone. We'll probably practice 3 songs for tomorrow and see how that does. Otherwise, it's a little more of the same. And like I said, I know we said, oh, we're done with the grind. We're not quite done with the overall grind. We will need money. We will be mowing lawns for a while. And that's just, kind of part of it. And I just prefer that for a couple of reasons. Once I'm to the spot, it takes a few seconds. It's like 6 seconds of time from when you hit the E to start to when he's done, and you can hit H to go home. You can do the odd jobs. Sometimes they pay better. I you know, you've seen me drive the stupid van. I start looking at the map and I forget where I'm at and I slam into walls. So that can cost me more than it helps. I'm just going to mow lawns. I find that easy and it's just the pattern I'm in. We'll do some more merging. And let's see. Let's go. Let's do song lyrics. Do some lyrics. Primarily, we'll focus on Angel here. I'm not even really focusing too much on the attitudes. I probably should. There are certain attitudes that I like better than others. Like I really like the homegrown songs. I can kind of relate to that. It makes me think of a few musicians that I like. And, you know, that's part of what this is all about, right? To have an experience. And I'm personally okay with that. Okay, let's see. That's threes. I kind of looked up there for a second. It is allergy season here. Well, it's not allergy season. I think the wildfires in Canada completely out of control for a while, and it really started affecting our air quality. And everybody I know is having sinus problems, which is not atypical for this part of the country and the world. But I'm suffering more heavily than I normally do, and I'm not really enjoying that. So apologies if I cut out here and there, mostly so I don't sneeze on you or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and practice. We'll practice these three songs, and then we're going to go do our thing tomorrow, and that's going to be fun. We'll talk about how gigs work. We have a gig at Blue Strawberry. Excellent. Topher. Well, now that I have been reminded that this is what affects merging points, I'm going to go ahead and drive that up. We'll do that 4 points because we really do want to have as many merge points as possible. We'll get that to 100. But we also want play to go up for him, so we're chip away at that as well. I'm probably going to not give him any writing for a while. We're going to be fine. As you can see, we have so many parts. We'll probably leave him alone there, and we will dabble in stage presence once we're ready to start getting into battles of the band. Maybe start kicking that up a little bit more then, as that will become a factor. The fact that our stage presence is low is not going to win us any new fans, so to speak. I probably should be clear about that. Let's go over here. We're going to go ahead and busk. We're doing it for the money. Obviously, we are not getting play points anymore. We've kind of covered that. Also gives me a chance to put some liquid on my throat so I'm not coughing. Okay, and Chad levels up, and we're going to go straight play with him. He is a stage presence guy, though. Maybe we'll go ahead and give him one because it counts twice, and then we'll do that. Okay, now we're going to get to our gig. Isn't really the worst idea to maybe hit a music store and repair stuff beforehand, but I just don't have very much money. Well, we got a little bit of money now, I guess. We mowed a couple of lawns. I'm not going to worry about that so much today. We're just going to go in and take care of business. Okay, first gig. Some of you have been here before. I get it. But for those of you who haven't, this is how a gig would work. We go into a venue, and when it is one of the lower end venues, either the bars and grills or this level, you get this kind of screen where you get to see the inside and you get to mingle with fans. And some of the fans will tell you stuff like, hey, we're excited about, I'm not getting any this time, probably because nobody's really here for us this time. But you'll get little bubbles, thought bubbles float over their heads sometimes, and it'll say something, it'll be an attitude. And what that is an indication of is an attitude that could, if it's not current, it could be coming up soon. It's not 100%. By the way, this one has 2 levels, and nobody is interested in talking to us. I would bet our reputation has a factor in that, too. If we were regulars here, people would probably be talking to us constantly. We're not, so, you know, that's us. The bartender will always give us some information. If we go and look here, we can see that we're playing today. And since we're playing, we can't schedule again with them, even though they have days that are open right now. We would have to come back tomorrow to try to schedule one of those if we have enough reputation with them. Did I check these ladies? I did. Okay, so here we go. Let's go on and play the gig, the part we've all been waiting for. Gigs are very well done here. I love this piece of the game so much. There's so many pieces moving here. So first of all, it is important to note that if we float up here, what the attitudes are. We don't want to play any songs that have a negative attitude. And the good news is we can click here and sort, and we can look at this and quickly see we don't have any that are red. So part 1 done. Number 2, we're going to go to we're going to go by play skill. Generally, you only want to play songs that you have at 100% play skill. We don't have that option today. I normally wouldn't play a song that is below 90. I think you can get away with playing some 80s. We just don't have the practice points yet to be able to drive these up fast. And I wanted to get a gig in here early, see how bad we start out. So if we look around the room at the other bands, we can see that there are 4 bands scheduled. We're at the bottom. So we are the opener. We're playing at 6 o'clock. That's what that tells me. As you can see, we have less than 1 point of popularity. Everybody else has a good amount of popularity, at least comparatively. These numbers can go up pretty high. And we will be playing 6 songs. When you're the opener, you play 6 songs. When you're a middle band, you'll either play 6 or 9. I think usually this band will play 9, and then the headliner will play 12 songs. So we have 6 slots here. And what we do, so 1 half step back, we can pick a banner that we want to show behind our band as we're playing. We'll see that in a minute. If we have multiples, we can pick them. We can also say none. What we're going to do is click to add songs into our set list. And there are some strategies you want to do here. Now, because of where we sit with our play skill, we do not have to worry about crowd energy. It becomes a very big factor, but for us, they're not going to be engaged at all. We're going to be lucky to get to 10% interest. And so we're just going to literally do our 6 best songs in reverse order, worst to best, as far as play skill goes. Now, normally we would need to kind of plan this out, and we talked about the attitudes. There's one other thing to look for here. Sometimes low energy songs are popular, and sometimes high energy songs are popular. And in those circumstances, how the energy works in songs and how you set up your set list will need to be different. We'll talk about that when we come to it in the future. Right now, I'm not going to worry about it. What I will say is when you're first starting out, if you're in a playthrough where high energy is an attitude, your experience will be very, very different initially than when it's normal like it is right now. We're going to go ahead and approach this because it is normal. We're going to approach it as normal, but I'm also going to talk you through what I would normally do. We are going to be totally fine playing all red songs today because nobody's going to be interested. Once you've gotten some reputation and some popularity and you're better at playing your songs, the songs cost the audience energy, and you want to arrange your set list to maximize their enjoyment without burning their energy all the way out. So we have 3 types of songs. We have the hot or the fast songs or high energy, whichever one makes you happy, however you want to say that. I call them the red songs. The red songs, hot songs, fast songs, high energy songs. They cost, in a normal circumstance, which is what we're on, they cost 30% of the 30 points of the audience's energy. So if you think of it as a 100% scale, costs 30%. So we start at 100%. We're going to play a red song. It's going to drop to 70%. Another red song is going to drop to 40%, 10%. All of a sudden, we're below 0. That's bad. You don't want to hit 0. When you hit 0, the audience may enjoy the song, but they can't demonstrate that. So what do? Well, we also have yellow songs. We don't have any yellow songs right now, but when you have yellow songs, you sprinkle those in, and yellow songs return 15 points or 15% of energy. So a red song costs 30, a yellow song gains 15. And so you kind of arrange it so that you never go to 0. Then we also have blue songs. Blue songs have kind of 2 things to consider. First of all, they add 40 points back in to the energy pool. But you can only use that if the crowd energy is already below 50%. Now you can play a blues song when the crowd has more than 50% of their energy, but the crowd will tell you we weren't interested because we had a lot of energy to burn. So you need to balance these to keep the needles moving. And we'll see those needles here in a minute. I'm talking about it now because it'll go kind of quickly. And I'll kind of talk through it as we hit that. But I just kind of wanted to prep you for what we're doing. Normally, we would want to have yellow and blue and red songs mixed in. My typical set is red, red, yellow, red, blue, red. That's just an easy one. Mathematically, it works out, never hits zero, never goes back above 100. Not that that's actually a factor, but you do want to be mindful of your energy spend. When you have periods of time where the attitude is low energy songs or high energy songs, all that's out the window. That all works completely differently. And we'll talk about it when we come to that. I don't fully remember all of the math around that. I know high energy gets kind of weird. Low energy is kind of works backwards, which is really weird also. I like that there's some diversity in it. If you get stuck in a pattern where you've got one of those non-normals happening for an extended period of time, it can be very, very frustrating. So I honestly have gone on vacation for 6 months when that's happened. Try to come back and see if it's gone. Let's go ahead and start the gig. So with this being our first gig ever, we're not going to be exciting the audience much at all. So let's take a look at that interface and what it looks like. And normally we will do it at 4 times speed because this actually goes pretty slow. As you can see, the song is getting played and energy is getting spent and interest is bouncing around. Not very much though. In fact, I mean, we're barely nudging those needles. This is because we're not good at our songs. We don't have them at 100%. That's part of the reason for this. As you can see, they're starting to use some energy, starting to get some interest. When we get to these last two, we should see the interest meter going up because we play those songs relatively well. There we go. It's ticking up. And then the last one, it'll probably bump up like 5 or 6 points. Okay, 4 or 5 points, if that. Yeah, so normally these needles would be kind of, this one you just want to see climb up. This one will be bouncing up and down. And that's okay. That's what we expect. I'm going to go ahead and click this for 4 times next time. Once the songs are done, we get to go to view results. Going to get over there and it gives us some information. Everybody got 900 experience points. And when you click, it'll go a little faster. This is the first analytics screen. And it basically tells you we played in front of a sold out crowd, 300 people. Members from various bands came to watch. That's good. That means we earn some respect with those bands. And that's a good thing. And then we get to the hard numbers. There were 16 of our fans in the crowd of 300. Well, for our first gig ever, that's a good number. There's nothing wrong with that. These are probably folks that saw us in the parks busking and they're like, hey, we should go to their show. And this number will climb. It'll also go down, depending on where you're at. If we go out to California, we're not going to have any fans in attendance, essentially. Maybe 1 or 2 that we earn during a gig. In 2 years, we'll have tons of fans at every one of them. In fact, we'll be at these kinds of gigs and we'll have 300 fans. It's just completely our folks. And that's good. Reputation with the venue went up 1 point. That's good. We want to have good reputation with the venue because that gives us good reputation in the town and that sells albums. Inspiration, this is good for more song parts. And then relationships with the specific bands that played with us will also go up. So that's all good stuff. The really important numbers are here. This is a breakdown of each song that we played. And as we knew, these first 4 songs, we barely knew well enough to play. We were having trouble finding the strings on the guitars. That was expected. These last 2 songs, particularly the last one, this is where we want to get some information on what really went well or didn't. So you generally want to have 5 smiley faces. Makes sense, right? And you will see how much the energy went down for red or up for yellow or blue. And that's where you can kind of start to judge. When these numbers are moving more towards the norm, so after your first red song, this number should say roughly 70. That's when you know you're kind of in the groove of, okay, now these are starting to matter and make sense. When we get to that point, we will edit our set to include the songs that make sense. Overall interest. Well, this first song, they weren't impressed with our low playing skills. So we don't get a lot of information from it. If this song had been at 100% and we only got 1% interest with it and we only got 1 smiley face, we'd get rid of the song. Nobody likes it. It's never going to be good. We would do that. Now, there is one exception to that. If the attitude of the song is negative you will lose a lot of points there as well. And so it may not be a bad song. It's just not the right time to play it or the right venue. Okay, basically you kind of have to figure out what these do. And as we move forward, and once we're to the point where the numbers are working more like they will mid-game, which will be soon, it'll be a month or two at the very most, where these will be kind of weird. And assuming we're still in normal attitude mode, it starts to make a whole lot more sense then, and it's very predictable. At that point, you'll be able to judge, do people like Mark's pencils more or he improves more based on how much the audience interest is bouncing up and down. With a little luck, we'll even get to 100%. On 6 songs, once you've been playing for a year, you should be getting to 100% all the time, unless you really just do something wrong or misremember an attitude or something like that, which will happen. I've done it more than once. See previous playthroughs. That's probably all there is to say on this for today because we don't get enough information since we don't know these songs well. When I have 20 songs and I play a gig like this and I get a couple that only have 2 or 3 faces, I will pick one of them and immediately axe it. I don't want to waste any more time on that song. It is never going to be good. This screen here will tell you almost always if a song is going to be a hit or not. There's basically 3 kinds of songs in the game. There are normal songs, which is the vast majority of them. There are hits, which is a very small percentage of them. And then there are, I don't know if there's an official name for it. I think on forums, I've seen it called like a mixed hit or somebody I think called it a timely hit, which was interesting. Those are songs that based on their attitude may be hits. And when the attitude is out, not currently important to folks, it won't be a hit. Those are borderline. They're borderline hits. Those songs are what, drive the industry. That's what forces people to go out and buy your records and things like that, the hits and the potentially the borderline ones. But you can tell that based on the language here. If something is a hit, you will know it. The exception being bad attitude or bad playing skill, you won't be able to tell. But if you're at 100% playing skill and the attitude is not negative, you will know by this note if it's a hit. And the way you know is it will say it's a potential hit or it's a hit. Songs cannot become hits on their own unless they're borderline. And that's a very small percentage. So you pretty much know right away, this song will never hit or this song is a hit. And then you can make some decisions from there. We will hopefully get to experience that in the very near future. Okay, well, we are going to go home. I think that is going to do it for this particular episode. I do want to finish the formalities of the day. Playing a gig ends your day, sort of. You noticed it was nighttime outside. If we go look out, if we try to drive to a store, none of the stores are open. In park here, we never get the E to go in, as you can see. And we can't go anywhere at this point. I don't even think you could busk or mow a lawn. Well, we've already done a job today, so it'll probably give us that message no matter what. But I don't think you can mow a lawn even at night. So we can go in our house, and that's it. And let's go in here, and we will merge parts, and we will practice our songs, and then we will call it a day. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just merge these on my own. We will end the video here. We will start tomorrow, will be Saturday, and what we will do is go to another show and do some of the stuff. I do appreciate your time. Sorry there probably were a couple of odd cuts in here, and that is because these sinus issues are really starting to affect me. I'm having a little trouble talking for more than 10 seconds at a time. But thanks for hanging in here with me. We will continue forward with more Rising Star 2 in the next episode. I hope you'll hang around for it. Really loving this, and the band is Inches from Glory. Thank you for your time, and until next, fair travels.